Hallo ihr Lieben, herzlich willkommen. Ja, bevor hier das offizielle Video startet, möchte ich noch eine Ankündigung machen, worum es denn hier überhaupt geht. Vielleicht habt ihr mitbekommen, dass wir ja in eine Bewegung reingekommen sind im Projekt, dass wir englischen Content mehr und mehr jetzt teilen möchten, sodass auch Salvadors Wissen wirklich in die Welt, in den englischsprachigen Bereich ausströmt und ganz viele Menschen erreicht. Also wenn ihr Herzensmenschen habt, die Englisch sprechen, wenn euch irgendwer einfällt, wo ihr denkt, dem möchte ich unbedingt von diesem Wissen erzählen, konnte es bisher aber noch nicht, da noch nicht viel englischer Content war. Hier, dieses folgende Video ist ein kleiner Workshop, den wir ins Englische übersetzt haben. Es geht um Atlantis. Dieser Workshop hat stattgefunden bei einer Veranstaltung von Aurelia Waser, wo sie ihre Kunstwerke aktiviert, die Botschafter des Lichts. Die Botschafter des Lichts bringen die atlantanische Energie hier auf Erden. Also wenn ihr da noch mal näher eintauchen möchtet, googelt gerne Botschafter des Lichts, erkundigt euch, um was es sich dabei handelt. Und an dieser Veranstaltung, an diesem Ort, habe ich einen kleinen Workshop geleitet und diesen haben wir ins Englische übersetzt und möchten den hier nun zur Verfügung stellen. Also gerne teilt es, streut es. Wir würden uns sehr, sehr darüber freuen. Das zum einen. Dann gibt es weitere Neuigkeiten. Morgen am Sonntag, der 25. August um 7 Uhr bin ich Speaker bei einer World Peace Meditation, bei einem Event, wo 24 Speaker jeweils eine Stunde eine Meditation halten und ein großes Lichternetz spannen hier über die Welt. Ihr könnt an diesem Stream teilnehmen. Wir werden ihn auf unserem YouTube-Kanal hier streamen am 25. morgen sonntags um 9. Schaltet mit ein, dann seid ihr dabei und wir machen gemeinsam ein großes Lichternetz, verbinden uns und ja, es geht um das Thema die Transformation des Erdenschmerzkörpers und die Kraft des Mitgespürs. Also da werde ich den Raum öffnen und hoffe, ganz, ganz viele von euch sind mit dabei, stehen früh auf und sind Sonntagmorgen um 7 mit dabei. Ja, noch eine weitere Ankündigung. Wir haben uns überlegt, dass wir auch gerne einen kostenfreien Workshop rausgeben würden mit dem Thema Mitgespür, weil das so eine wertvolle Kraft ist, die Salvador neu rausgibt. Ein Wissen, was wirklich neu ist und ins Massenbewusstsein gestreut werden darf. Dieser Workshop Comsension, eine neue Wortkreation sowie Mitgespür, findet am 29. September um 21 Uhr europäische Zeit statt. Ihr findet hier unter diesem Video auch den Link, wo ihr euch kostenfrei anmelden könnt. Da dieser Workshop auch simultan ins Englisch übersetzt wird, das ist das Besondere, könnt ihr es auch teilen mit englischen Herzensmenschen und streuen und ja, wir hoffen, ganz, ganz viele von euch sind mit dabei an diesem Workshop Comsension und ja, dass dieses Wissen einfach wirklich in die Welt rausgeht und diese Kraft ja, normaler wird, uns verdeutlicht wird und wir damit wirken können. Genau, ich glaube, das war's. Also alle Infos unter diesem Video, da könnt ihr nochmal nachlesen, euch informieren und jetzt wünsche ich euch ganz viel Freude bei diesem Workshop mit den Botschaftern des Lichts, mit dem Thema Atlantis und ja, vielleicht hilft es euch auch in der englischen Sprache, dass ihr trotzdem eintauchen könnt und das Wissen mitnehmt und es mit ganz vielen teilen könnt. Also ganz viel Freude und bis bald.
A wonderful good evening to all of you. This is such a big moment for me. Now, pretty much 3 years ago, I had a soul channeling with Christiane in El Salvador. And I asked him about the ambassadors of light that came to me as a vision in 2015. And then most of them were created by 2017. And I always had huge doubts. Am I megalomaniac? How can I bear something like this into the world? Am I mistaken? Can I trust my inner voice, my inner guidance? And through the channeling of Salvador, I was able to experience so much inner strength. And Salvador and his light beings said that they are full of joyful anticipation that this creation will now be accomplished and shared with the world, but that it's really important that I further fill it with new energies, and I would sense the perfect moment when it would be ready. And throughout the last 3 years, it was always this, is it ready now? And there was always a clear no within me. And last year in the summer, I was summoned that the ambassadors of light want to be released. And there's 9 in total. 3 of them have already found their spaces in Germany. They are distributed in Germany to stand as a triangle formation. And the remaining 6 are here now on the meadows, united one last time. And I must say, I did face substantial challenges, and I was invited to surpass quite some needle's eyes. And after the challenging, Christiane visited my homepage, and as far as I remember, you were very, very touched, and you called me right afterwards. And, well, 1.5 weeks later, the workshop deep dive, the first one, was created and took place. And since that moment, me and many of my soul sisters participated in that workshop, and it feels like coming home to one's own soul family. And as I see you sitting here together and being together the last days of the seminar, it feels like the gathering of a soul family, and I'm so incredibly thankful. Said today, I feel so lucky, incredibly lucky. All the hardship, all the doubt, all the difficulties are now gone, and I'm absolutely convinced that everything was right, that it really required every single step, every deepness, every difficulty, every desperation to have them or allow them to now shine in their brightness. And I'm incredibly happy and thankful that Christiane said yes, yes to become part of this Ambassadors of Light Days here, and that she is going to guide us into the energies of Atlantis once more, all of us here together. And I'm really looking forward to what you and Salvador have to say now. Thank you so much. I would like to thank everyone who has taken a seat here in this space today, online as well as here. And I can sense my tears coming again. This is a space that Aurelia has opened that is so incredibly, has such a high frequency and reminds us of home. And I remember like yesterday, oh gosh, I can hardly hold back my tears. When I went on your website and I watched this introductory video, the one we just saw, and I had a look at it and I cried so much because it has the energy of arrival. It is the arrival in a space in which we have previously been, as connected beings, as beings who knew where we came from and who we are, and yes, what our flow of life, what our actual flow of life is. And we've prepared this space, this experience for those who are Atlanteans, humans like all others as well. We have prepared this experience of separation. We're going to dive into the subject matter later. I also want to allow Salvador to speak to this. But at the very beginning, I really want to put Aurelia into the center of attention, because this space, Aurelia, you have opened, you are carrying this space into the world, and you really followed your soul's mission despite all the resistances that were there, all the challenges, and you were so brave. You just stayed with it with all your power, and you've created vessels with a high frequency energy to allow the ambassadors of light to enter this space. And it is this frequency of the spirit plane with which the ambassadors of light are present here, right here with us, and it's a real true gift to all of us. And I'm sure that everyone who stood by the ambassadors of light was able to sense it. It is so touching, so without words, to be present there and to receive this energy into one's own system and to connect, to remember the own essence. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart that you've opened this space. And thank you, Aurelia. And now I would like to open the space for Salvador, who also wants to have a few words. Also to you, Aurelia. For this is a new beginning. The ambassadors of light now want to be released to the world, to be distributed, create a net of light across the entire world. And this is, yes, as you say yourself, this is an activation of the ambassadors of light. This is the initial impulse, and it is accompanied by the spirit world. They are present, they are with us, and so I want to open the space to allow them to speak. So see, we form a circle around you. We are with you, holding the space of the energies of Atlantis. So see, the spaces reside on top of each other. And so, from a timeline perspective, you are present in your current incarnation, but at the same time, another space opens, the space of your experiences in Atlantis. You are Atlanteans, connected to your spirit being, and so your spirit being has lowered itself down into the plane of matter. You were the human beings who prepared the space for the experience of separation that followed. We are present here. We would like to remind you everything that you sense, everything that you hear, all of this is a memory. For deep within you, all of this is very familiar to you. You, within yourselves, have already experienced all of this. And so the space Atlantis is opened in this moment. You have taken a seat. You are Atlanteans. You are spirit beings present in the matter plane. Understand the importance of this, how important it is to revive these memories. For this is where your light unfolds, your essence. This is where you build bridges, the bridges into the spirit world, into the contact with us. The frequency of mass consciousness wants to be increased. Humanity as a whole wants to awaken. The process of awakening is ongoing. You know this. It is you as Atlanteans who paved the way. You paved the way, for it was you. It was you who closed the space. And so it will be you who reopen the space. You distribute these energies in the space of collective consciousness, here on the matter plane. And so we collect our focus, collect our light, our love, to kindle your memories within you like a flame. This opens your full potential. We would like to use this moment to take a bow before you, Aurelia, for you have gone step by step. You've accepted your soul's mission. You've opened your authentic soul plan, which you now bring here into matter. You currently do not have the slightest idea of the impact that this will have. For see, in collective consciousness, the ambassadors of light are creating a net across the world. They are opening the space Atlantis, the memory of wholeness, memory of perfection, of light and love, the memory of a community that stands and acts with each other and alongside each other in the spirit of oneness. And so we thank you from the bottom of our heart. You have opened this space in this moment for all human beings who take place therein. You've opened the potential to allow memories to surface, the recollection of Atlantis.
Die Erinnerung nach oben zu tragen, die Erinnerung an Atlantis.
We are present in this space. Even if you cannot sense us with your outer eyes, open the senses of your heart. We are out to make ourselves noticed. And so you may feel safe and supported, embedded in our energies. Take our hand. Allow yourselves to be led. Open yourself in surrender to yourselves. And so the memory of yourself can grow. The space of Atlantis will today, in this moment, unfold on top of this space. The portal is now open. We bow before you. Thank you. Bless each and every one of you. Amen. Yes, my name is Christiane Hansmann, and I'm a medium for the Light Being Salvador. Atlantis has a very special meaning for me personally.
Ich habe im Laufe meines Lebens mitbekommen, dass ich in Atlantis von meinen Ursprungs,
For Atlantis, for Atlanteans, is the very first incarnation that we had. And this experience that we had in Atlantis, this first incarnation, the potential that we lived there, That is the potential that wants to be born in the process of awakening, wants to surface within us right now. And in that first incarnation of mine in Atlantis, I was a medium for Salvador as well, and I passed on messages from the spirit world. And back then in Atlantis, there were humans that had already fallen behind the veil of forgetting. And the Atlanteans, those were the ones that still had access, were fully connected, and passed on knowledge from the spirit world to these other humans. And as such, they were able to stabilize them within their systems, which allowed them to already go ahead and process topics. With other words, they were able to already integrate experiences of separation in their systems. So my Atlantean experience was exactly that which has now awakened within my current life. And when I was in my early 20s, I received images of Atlantis, and I had no idea what Atlantis was. I had never heard of Atlantis. And imagine, then I saw these marble palaces, the pillars, the glass, the vastness, the beauty and brightness. And I saw myself as an Atlantean. So the physique of Atlanteans is very, very tall, slender, lanky. Basically, it's what Aurelia has embedded into her sculptures. Really does reflect the Atlantean physique, the way they materialized themselves back then. And these pictures I had in this time, and I had no idea what I was seeing. And really, I didn't take the pictures very seriously. Later in the course of my life, I heard of Atlantis, and I saw images, I heard stories. It matched my earlier experience, my own earlier experience one-on-one, which was really wonderful for me because, I mean, all of us know this. If you have an experience and then later you hear about something very similar, the knowledge that has a more powerful impact in oneself than if you'd only absorbed the knowledge within your mind. So Atlantis was very, very significant and meaningful for me. Also, the process that being an Atlantean entails. So we Atlanteans have a very, very huge pain of separation within us because we were, so to speak, the last beings that fell behind the veil of forgetting, which means that the cycle of separation, deep pain, suffering, and darkness really began with us. And so, yeah, it's a typical Atlantean symptom, this strong pain of separation, this deep longing for home. Another typical issue or topic of Atlanteans is the topic of fault. Fault of, the idea of having initiated this separation. Atlanteans generally feel responsible for everything, feel at fault for everything. And this is a topic that may be healed now. With other words, something that came up throughout the day was that the spirit world, everyone that's here with us today wants to revive this memory within us, the memory of who we really are. And that will allow us to let go of so much burden, so much guilt. We can let go of masks. It's just a birth of light that's initiated here, and the focus is set on which the focus is set by the spirit world. I would like to open space for Salvador to allow him to speak of Atlantis once more from the perspective of the spirit world. What I have told you so far is were my experiences, a description of how I see my life unfolding before me as a result of this Atlantean incarnation. And just like Salvador told us earlier, the spaces unfold on top of each other. This is exactly what I saw happening in my own life. So I repeatedly encounter situations where I yeah, where I wonder which space am I actually in? Am I here? Am I in Atlantis? So the realities shift and unfold on top of each other. And so I'd like to open the space to allow Salvador to speak about Atlantis himself, and also address a few topics here that are relevant in the group. So in order to receive Salvador's energy, close your eyes and open your heart space. It is a space that has its center at the fourth thoracic vertebrae and expands around the body, the entire system. So sit down, relax, and relax into yourselves. The surrender is such as the opening of our system and allows us to receive all of these energies so that the pictures can surface within ourselves. So the energies can flow through our systems. You are powerful beings. You poured into the space of matter as whole spirit beings. And so you materialized, descended into the lower frequencies of matter. Just look and see how much light you've brought into this plane. By your presence alone, the light beams out of your heart spaces into matter. Remember this experience. Sense it in your bodies. Sense it in every single cell. Sense the moment in which you immersed yourselves into the matter plane. Sense how you took a seat with your light. Remember the landscape of Atlantis. See all of the buildings, the marble, all of the light. You built cities just with the power of your spirit. With the power of light, you were able to form matter. Allow yourselves to experience Atlantis in its full beauty. Allow yourselves to sense it, to feel it. As connected beings, you were fully aware which process was unfolding. So see, everything is energy, movement. Everything is rhythm. Energies flow into oneness. And so the matter plane was also created in the flow. The experience of separation was born out of oneness. And so you may let go of any thoughts of guilt. For the experience of separation is created out of love. A space of experience that wanted to be made experienceable by you. In love. So why should you feel guilty? Guilt suppresses your true power. You have the power of light within you. Why not bring it to life? Who benefits of this power being suppressed? Stand up. You are ambassadors of light. The light shines through you into the matter plane. There is no reason to suppress yourself. So stop sabotaging yourself. Stand up. This self-imposed belief may now be transformed fully. As connected Atlanteans, you were conscious of all of the experiences that await you in a connected state. You served in love, but see, in the moment in which you fell into disconnection, you forgot. You fell behind the veil of forgetting, and so you could no longer remember that the experience of separation is in love, was created in love, in the free movement of energies. Self-imposed beliefs were created out of the illusion that create realities within you. Self-imposed beliefs that make you believe you are isolated. You are alone. You are powerless. You are guilty. You are perpetrator. You are victim. This is the play of separation. So remember. Remember your experience in Atlantis as Atlantean in a connected state. Let rise the light within you. Let rise the memory, the images, the feeling, the connection that you jointly created for one another, the supporting, the working for one another. In order to nourish your mind, we would like to give you the following explanation. As we said earlier, everything is rhythm. Flow the rising tide, and ebb the falling tide. And so spaces were created out of the flow. The expression out of the primary unit, the source, was created in the spaces which are formed out of each other, lie within each other, surround each other in eternity. This is the rising tide, the birth of expression. The tide would continue to flow in eternity. However, you human beings have created in love the stop from within yourselves, the stop sign, the point of reversal of the energies. By way of the experience of separation, the energies are redirected into the ebb. By way of your awakening, you initiate the collaboration of the spaces. For if a space was experienced in full, it can collapse within itself. And this is how the energy, the movement of the energies, flows back to the primary unit, to source. For all expression has been expressed in wholeness. So understand yourselves. Understand your being. In your hearts, you are a gate. By way of this gate, you created the space of separation. And as such, you are also able to end this experience. This is the process of awakening. This is the memory of your truth, who you really are. The first incarnation in the space of separation was the incarnation as Atlanteans. You poured into this space from the spirit plane as spirit beings. You poured into the space and were connected. So ask yourselves, how did all of the advanced civilizations come about in our world? How could this be? We now tell you all of this knowledge, all of the so-called wonders were created by you, by Atlanteans. For the Atlanteans had the same powers as a human being would have, a human being that is connected with the spirit world. Everything is possible. Spirit forms matter. Spirit creates. And so matter is the birth out of the spirit, not the other way around. The Atlanteans were aware of this. The being of the Atlanteans was to deposit this knowledge on the matter plane before it fully falls into separation. So this is what they did. Look at the pyramids. They are a legacy of the Atlanteans, knowledge that was manifested here, not only on the outside in matter, also energetically. Energetic spaces were created all across the world through the Atlanteans. For this is what allows the collective consciousness of all humans to redirect the movement of the energies in a different direction. See, the humans, in their experience of separation, without any memory, would be lost in isolation. They would not find their way back. Separation is an illusion, an energetic illusion, and yet an initial spark is required to change the focus to the inside, to remember this is an initial spark. And therefore, it was of very, very high importance that the Atlanteans posited this initial spark as a memory in the matter plane. This was you. You did this. You created these places. You created these buildings. And so we would like to tell you that all of these advanced civilizations were created with the energies, the powers of Atlanteans. Old scripts tell us the aliens came from the skies, the gods came from the skies. Now understand, these were Atlanteans. Atlanteans could materialize anywhere they wanted, for they were connected spirit beings. Alone by decision, it was possible for them to create matter, and as such also their own body. Just by their decision alone, they were able to move and form themselves in different places on Earth. And this is how they were able to distribute the knowledge about the energies, distribute it in the entire world. They were fully aware of the fact that there would be a time where each individual Atlantean would also fall behind the veil of forgetting. Now see, how does a human being fall behind the veil of forgetting? Spaces are created by way of portals. Spaces are created by way of gates, and through these gates, energies pour. They create a space to find a space. Each being in its center has a heart portal. This portal, it opens a space. A human being that is fully connected has an opened heart portal. It is constantly connected with oneness, so that energies can flow into the space. In every moment, this human being can experience itself in full awareness. It can sense itself. It is an awareness of oneness.
Ist in ständiger Anbindung mit dem All-Eins-Sein, sodass strömen dürfen all die Energien in den Raum hinein. In jedem Moment kann sich dieses Menschwesen im Gewahrsein erfahren, sich spüren im Gewahrsein des All-Eins-Seins.
The separation was initiated by covering the heart portal with a membrane, a heart membrane, so that the energies of oneness were no longer able to pass through that portal. And the perception was blocked. The perception was fixed into the matter plane. And so you perceived yourselves as being isolated in the matter plane. You fell into the reality to be alone in this matter plane. This is the experience of separation in pain and suffering. This is how the stop of the flow of energies is created. The moment in which energies change their direction, is when you awaken. The energy DNA of the human being's soul's core foresee that the humans will make this experience experienceable. This is an energetic process.
Dies ist ein energetischer Vorgang.
Understand, for in this moment in which you understand what has happened by way of you, what you've made experienceable, what you've expressed, you will be able to let go of all feelings of guilt. You have served in love. You have created the matter plane of separation, and now it is time that you come home. It is time that you remember.
Es ist an der Zeit,
dass ihr euch
erinnert.
From the perspective of the spirit world, each Atlantean's heart membrane has been removed. From an energetic perspective, you are now able to dive through your heart space, extend your heart space, this heart portal, with the focus of your awareness. Flow through it. You are complete beings in perfection, eye to eye with us. In a community of light, we will continue to remind you again and again. For each and every one of you that is present with his awareness in this space today, we would like to place an individual symbol into each of your heart spaces. a symbol of recollection. Here in the space of your heart, you will encounter your inner home. This is where your longing comes to an end. Amen. Salvador has asked me to open the floor for questions. My question is, now that we have the knowledge of the energies, our true being, and have the knowledge of how to heal ourselves, with the understanding that it is we ourselves that are the true creators, what else can we do to allow ourselves to fall into and be led by this new reality? So, as human beings in all of our incarnations since the experience of separation, we have learned that matter mirrors the reality. So we took matter, and based upon what we see in matter, we've concluded, this is my reality. And that's how and why we react to matter. We've reversed it in the experience of separation. And it's in the experience of separation, we've thought or concluded that not spirit creates matter, but matter creates us. And that is so deeply entrenched in our cells that this reality, not only in our cells, but also in the field of collective consciousness. And of course, this reality continues to penetrate our energy body, pathways and gates. So again and again, we are required to remember, to decide, to reverse, to realize matter is actually mirroring something that at some point in time I created. The matter that we're surrounded by, our life, everything that surrounds us, is a mirror of our creation. Sayadaw always says matter is slow, so that what we encounter today, basically in the line of time, was created 1 to 5 years ago in the last incarnation, and that what was right before us, we don't get the relationship between the two. So we take what's right in front of us and say, okay, that has nothing to do with me. I am now victim of matter. I now have to react to matter. But the matter that we have created at some point in time is a legacy of the past. And if we know this, we can actually commence our little exploring expedition. We can, as you say, so if you encounter, like you just said, the situation that a reality is imposed upon you from the outside, and as a result, you keep on falling into the space outside of reality. Well, where did this happen? And where does this experience come from? And if that origin can be found, then it will lose its power. And that's exactly what it's all about. Sayadaw always says that this is the moment in which we become free of any conditioning. And we can decide from outside of our hearts. And this is the connection I was referring to. To be in connection with yourself and to sense, this is my authentic decision, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and pursue my authentic decision. Because we take matter as a mirror, as reality, we take decisions based upon this matter. We act based upon this matter. And what do we create? Exactly the same matter. We just go and copy over and over. This is what we encounter in our lives. Why does it happen again? Why does it happen to me again? Why again? Well, it's because we repeatedly copy in the line of time that what we've experienced in the past. The now. I mean, we all know the now from Eckhart Tolle. The now as such is a word out of time. It's a time word, and yet it describes the dot on the line, and this dot on the line is our heart portal. It's the access to the own inner wisdom, what is authentic in this specific moment. And now in the example that you just gave, this reality is basically imposed upon me from the outside. This is the energy field that builds up around you. It's as if your senses were limited by this huge fog and you can't sense what in that moment is good for you. Yeah, I mean, it could be, let's say the fog declines and you're able to solve this issue and you are in your heart and you can sense, hey, I think I need to call this doctor. He's got some kind of information for me. And yes, could be, but because the energy fields build up around you, we can't sense this anymore. We can't see it. And that's what I mean with the senses of your heart. The pineal gland is also very important to maintain the contact to the spirit plane by way of your heart. In our full, as a full connection, just like we were fully connected in every now as Atlanteans. Does anyone else have any other questions? Yes? How can we make use of this symbolic key that you mentioned earlier? Yes. So, symbols that we've received from the spirit world are like energy keys. they have an effect. They are spread in our systems as energy fields without us having to do anything. They open a space within us, which in this now give us the next step of our authentic expression. Sometimes we also get an information in addition to the symbol in a dream, for example, or you could ask if there's another piece of information that's relevant for this field of information. But otherwise, there's nothing we really need to do. It's that easy. Seems too satisfying, doesn't it? No. I mean, I do sense that it has an effect. I trust. Yes, you may trust.
Das tut es ganz bestimmt.
So that means we connect ourselves with the symbols, and then it may happen. Then it will happen. Yes, it already has an effect because it's already been placed into the heart space. So in that moment in which it was handed over to us, the challenge for us human beings is to surrender and receive. We have lost the ability to receive without having to first do something. So with us, it's always, I have to do something in order for something to happen. What do I have to do now? So I progress, so I awaken. What do I need to do? The spirit world is incredibly thankful when we receive, when we open ourselves up and we surrender and we allow them to have an effect through us. This is so powerful. We're so unused to this because in the experience of separation, we've become these beings of being, forming matter, fighting. I mean, we're also conditioned. This is what we experienced in all the incarnations. So I have a question. I'd like to share an experience. I arrived here yesterday, and I also just visited the Ambassadors of Light, and I listened to Salvador, and I felt guilty because I was not able to sense any connection, nothing. And now towards the end, I realized this is actually the preparation, the needle's eye, and that I've already prepared for this.
Das ist schön. Danke.
Thank you for sharing. Question. Is there a specific knowledge, maybe specifically Atlantean knowledge, that Salvador would like to explain for this new time in which all humans create in connection? You mean a special knowledge? Is there going to be additional knowledge? That's what I mean. Today? Oh, for sure.
Ganz bestimmt. Ganz bestimmt. Ja.
So Salvador did share in form of a book. Not sure if everyone here knows, but he did share in form of a book in 2017. Incredible knowledge. Specifically for these times of awakening. It's a map that we can use, and the second book is going to be published and released in the fall. So there's lots of information, additional information in there about Atlantis, also about the Pleiades. They actually go hand in hand, the Atlanteans and the Pleiades. So exactly this energy field, this space. But I'm sure there'll be some more knowledge shared today. So, question. These places that we created as Atlanteans back then, as a reminder or as places of our being in the course of the past thousands of years, is it now in this phase interesting or important for us Atlanteans to sense within us which such places may be calling us? Well, yes. If this is a feeling you already have, and I can sense it is, then for sure it's important for you as an Atlantean, because of course these places would trigger initial igniting spark that I mentioned earlier. It's like a link to your whole being that has left something behind in these places. And if you go back, then you will experience it in your cells as memory. So for sure. And actually, I'm getting goosebumps. For sure. Very, very, very valuable. Okay, so next question. This net of light that is currently being created, what impact will it have upon us? And what impact will it have on the field? And what will come of it? So for one thing, by way of the ambassadors of light, these spirit beings that also were also present in Atlantis, were able to, or are able to access this matter plane. It's like with us human beings, we need a body in order to take a seat in this space and to work. And it's important that the presence of the energies is in that space so that they can actually allow their energies to work. And so you can consider the ambassadors of light to be the vessels in which these beings have taken a seat with their energies. And because they are distributed across the world, incredibly important for the collective consciousness, because the collective consciousness is a space, again, a space that consists of energies of each and every human being. And this collective consciousness space, it's at a very low frequency, it's rising, but at a very low frequency. And by way of the ambassadors of light, this entire energy of collective consciousness is lifted into another level by way of these beings that are there. And us Atlanteans, of course, also have a very strong interconnection to these beings because in the past we also collaborated with them. And that stabilizes us Atlanteans as well, incredibly, because it's a sense of home that comes here. Home is entering this space. And we also feel more at home now, these days. And as it shows, people are reconnecting. Atlanteans are beginning to build groups and communities and to find each other and joining forces, just like we did way back when. So in Atlantis, we worked in groups and we had communities. There were a few Atlanteans that worked individually as authentic beings that also existed, but most Atlanteans worked as a group. And these groups are now reconnecting and collecting their powers and jointly having an effect. And that is incredibly powerful. So question, how can we, by way of remembering that we are Atlanteans, which I can actually feel, how can we pass on the light in our daily jobs, wherever? What can we do to build bridges in order to pass on the light? So basically, it's what was emphasized today. The spaces that reside on top of each other. The practice in our everyday life to hold the Atlantean space open, really hold it open, energetically take seat in it. And that as such is a real challenge because, of course, in the outside, in our everyday life, we are confronted with matter that thrusts us into different realities, in which we are then invited to perform consciousness work, to center ourselves and reopen the Atlantean space. That's learning to walk. And the more we manage to hold the Atlantean space open, the more, of course, we are present in our hearts in the now. And we will speak with people differently. We will take different decisions. We will act differently because we are no longer prisoners of the realities of matter. And it'll also trigger us less. Yes, we will stay more neutral. We will stay in serenity, in awareness. And if on the outside someone projects his own issues onto us, we will not allow ourselves to be dragged into the games because we are in the space Atlantis, in a connected state. Atlantis for us means we are in a connected state We are aware of who we truly are. And that's the area of practice in our life. To sense these two rooms, meaning the space, the plane of matter, and simultaneously also hold open the Atlantean space. It's like two parallel worlds. At the beginning, it's also a little challenge for the mind because it can't keep up with what's going on. And it says, well, I guess you've lost it now. Now something's not quite right with you. And exactly, you're a megalomaniac. Also very typical for an Atlantean. So if you think that you are a megalomaniac, it's a typical Atlantean symptom. And if you regularly accuse yourself of being megalomaniacal, you'll know I'm an Atlantean. I have a question. I repeatedly have dreams of Atlantis, dreams with incredible details and brilliance. I could describe every corner. It's difficult for my mind to imagine that I'm traveling through time. Am I simply eliminating time? For me, it seems like I'm just peeking into another space, and I can repeat it tomorrow and the day after. Yes, well, that is the space and space experience. It's the exit from time. Time is an illusion. Time is a construct in the space of separation. To allow us to make experiences experienceable. If everything took place in the now, we would not be able to make experiences experienceable. If everything took place in the now, the information of all experiences, we would not be able to make experience experienceable in the now. It's like an accordion. Time expands everything, and we make all experiences experienceable one after the other, even for the spirit world. So now, in the process of awakening, we realize time is actually an illusion. Time does not exist. We can travel into any space with our awareness, into any space that we focus. And as you say, yes, we can also do that immediately with our everyday consciousness. You can immediately access any space, and you can tell us exactly what you see. That is the space and space experience, and that's awakening. It's the fifth dimension of which everybody speaks these days. The experience of the fifth dimension is the space and space experience. The possibility to discover this potential. And that is real. Spaces are energy definition. It's realities into which we immerse ourselves, in which we gather information that serve us in the now, that serve us in this space in order to stay in constant connection. Because that's awakening. Awakening is the full opening of the heart portal. The opening of the heart in order to be in a constant connection and to create matter out of this state of connection. And at the moment, I'm sure you see this as well, it happens faster and faster. Something is created in spirit, and all of a sudden, one day later, it's already materialized. A while back, this would have taken a year to happen, and now it's there the next day. So we're dealing with a much faster speed, by the way, also with the topics that blow up in our faces. Okay, so next question. Basically, many years ago, this awareness of connection was mainly limited to the very few that were initiated. And by way of people like you and other mediums, this information was shared and passed on. In the meantime, we've been able to develop a sort of awareness that has enabled us the potential of becoming free beings and to carry this freedom into the spiritual context as a new quality. Can you tell me what role the Atlanteans have in this context? I mean, in the moment in which one becomes aware that we are an Atlantean, what contribution, what specific contribution do we provide to the interaction between Earth and human? And what role does matter play?
Atlanter oder dieser geistigen Strömung in Bezug in dem Moment, wo das Bewusstsein, wo man jetzt sich bewusst ist, ich bin ein seelisch-geistiges Wesen, ich bin ein Atlanter, wie auch immer wir das nennen, welches ist sozusagen der Beitrag der spezifische Beitrag in Bezug auf die Entwicklung der Symbiose von Erde und Mensch als seelisch-geistig-physische Wesen sozusagen. Und welche Rolle spielt die Materie da drin jetzt in der weiteren Entwicklung, weil die hat sich ja geopfert, damit wir die Freiheit entwickeln können und die will ja sozusagen mitgenommen werden.
Ja, also
So first of all, every Atlantanian has its own very specific potential which he brought here in the past, and that wants to be awakened at this point in time in the now. These potentials are not to be compared. We really need to stop comparing ourselves to each other. Each of us has its own authentic, powerful potential, which now wants to be revived in the now. And what that is, specifically for each and every one of us, this is part of our individual journey. In relation to your question about matter, I hope I understood you correctly. In the process of awakening, matter becomes more permeable. That means this whole space here is the space of separation. Dimension, time, matter as such, all of this is part of the experience of separation. The experience of separation includes pain and suffering. This is the shadow universe. And in the matter plane, we experience polarity. In the process of awakening, these poles become weaker. Because we unite, in the awakening, we unite everything that is. We seize judgment. And so the poles, these spaces will collapse in themselves. And yes, that's the initiation of ebb, the falling tide, back to the primary unit. What we as individual humans have in our individual processes, the collective will undergo as well. And as a collective, we can't go back until the very last human has awakened. No one will be left behind. Everybody comes along. Energetically, it's just, energetically, I say this energetically, without any judgment. It's really neutral. And it's as Salvador says, once the critical mass is reached, it's an automatic process. Everyone returns, even those that have not conducted any consciousness work previously. It's the fate of the Atlanteans. We prepare everything and everyone else just comes along. And there you see again, we really do not need to compare ourselves, really. We don't have to put other people down. So if in your life there's somebody beside you that has not done any consciousness work, doesn't even know what Atlantis is, has this huge question mark in their face if people talk about awakening or whatever, that individual may be super authentic in that moment because it doesn't matter. He'll come along once the critical mass is reached. And that's so wonderful because we don't have to think we're better than anyone. Everybody is exactly in the place in which he is perfect. Question, how much is the critical mass? I don't know. Question, does that mean that matter basically disappears, dissolves? At the very end, yes. Salvador doesn't say anything specifically, but yes, at the very end. Can you say something about Lemuria and Atlantis? I mean, are there Atlanteans that were also there during the times of Lemuria? Okay, so Lemuria has to do with the spaces, how spaces were formed, the formation of the space in space. So for us humans, soul space was born out of the space of the dual souls. And in the soul space, we all have the core of our being, meaning our individual definition, which we as humans express, ego and spirit both. And the spirit plane was born out of the soul plane, and the matter plane was born out of the spirit plane. This is the flood, the formation of the spaces all the way down to the matter plane. The emergence of the soul plane into the spirit plane, that gathering of energies, that's Lemuria. Lemuria is one energy level, again, without judgment, above Atlantis. So it's the formation of the Atlanteans are at Via Lemuria. And this is the tide of the flood through all spaces. And now I can go ahead and say something in relation to the Pleiades, because it's exactly these Pleiades that are the awakened Atlanteans. The Pleiades, that is us in the future. It's our incarnation in the future where we as Atlanteans are fully awakened. These spaces of experience, we know time doesn't exist, already exist. We are already Pleiades in these spaces. Each of us is already a Pleiade because we were Atlanteans. So that means these Pleiades, we already exist. Also in relation to the Pleiades system. That's an energetic space where we are present in the matter plane in order to support us here. So if you want to support yourselves, if you feel drawn to the Pleiades, you can contact your very own Pleiade via your heart space, because it actually wants to support you, because it is a future incarnation of ours in which we are already fully connected, but in the line of time, it is after the experience of separation. So we as Pleiades have already integrated this experience of separation because we've already experienced it. As Atlanteans, this experience is still ahead of us and not yet integrated. Question: does that mean that you, Salvador, are speaking to us as a Pleiade?
Mit wem spreche ich?
Okay, so it's a game. If you use the space and space experience, or if you make use of the perspective for our own benefit, we can connect with our Atlantean and communicate there, with the Pleiade and communicate there. We can communicate with whatever we feel drawn to in any given time. I mean, there's also many that resonate with entirely different things, that resonate with spaces with which others don't even sense. But that's authentic, and so we are also individuals. Salvador as such is a light being. That means light beings and spirit beings are not able to be present in the matter plane. They are light and spirit beings. That means they were never incarnated. And this is without judgment in the space matter. They're not capable of incarnating here. And it's all energy anatomy. And this energy anatomy does not allow light and spirit beings to be present here, like us human beings. And that's why the communication with them requires that we move towards each other. So the human being has to travel to the spirit plane, and the light being have to downgrade its energy level in order to be able to communicate. Question. Are we always present in the matter plane as a copy of our spirit beings? So the spirit being itself is never present here in this matter plane? No, our matrix original is always present in the spirit space, the spirit plane, no matter where we are. The incarnation is only a copy that is copied into the matter space through the heart portal. And also, all of our incarnations, they all happen at the same time in parallel. So we can basically dive into any incarnation. And if we heal something in this incarnation right here, it automatically also heals in all of the other incarnations, because everything occurs in the now.
Frag mich mal. Ja, natürlich.
Yes, of course.
Ja, natürlich. Nein.
So important is the aspect of self-care. No, seriously, if you sense that you need a break, then make sure you take care of yourself, because it could also be an ego program to push yourself through something and to say, well, I have to do this and it's now time to awaken, so pull yourself together. These thoughts of performance, the expectation of performance, really it exists. With other words, the pressure of spiritual performance exists. It's an ego program. It has nothing to do with awakening. To rush through something and to take a competitive approach of I'm faster developed than you and so on and so forth. No, that really self-care means to authentically ask yourself, is this step for me now or not? And also, no lighter spirit being is above you, has the authority over you. I had a conversation with Brigitte earlier. If Salvatore tells me, so now it's time to do this, and I sense, sorry, this is just not going to work for me now, I can't step out of this comfort zone, well, then I'm just not ready for that step, but that's okay. Also an example of listening to oneself. And no one has the authority over you, because at the end of the day, we also have to live with the consequences. And what happens then, no one is going to handle for us. Question. If we as a collective rise and leave, where are all the other critters going to go? Which critters? Well, the beings that are not humans, reptilians. You mean shadow beings? Well, those are beings that belong to the shadow world. And the shadow world is a space, it's also a space of experience that is nourished by our low-frequency ego energies. That means we ourselves are the source for the shadow world, also for all beings that exist therein. And it means that when we awaken in our state of connection and in the light, the nourishment discontinues, the source runs dry, and there will no longer be any energies for the shadow world, no new inflow of energies, and the space collapses as a result. It's energy anatomy. It has nothing to do with good or bad. And actually, that's what I love about Salvatore, and I always have to reinforce, he is so neutral. It's just energy atomy. There's no she surrounded that surrounds it, and it is what it is. And this is the potential, by the way. The serenity. Yes, it's the acknowledgement thereof with which we flow. And the shadow world also flows with it. And it'll collapse. All of this will collapse once we've awakened. But until then, they continue to have an impact. But you see, if we know about all of this, we have tools that allow us to handle everything that we encounter, because really it's all about energy anatomy. Question: do you have any information about Andromeda? No, I don't. Okay, so let's dive in once again. Important to remember when accessing your heart space is envision the heart portal. Really envision it as a portal, as a light tunnel that allows you to access the spirit space, or better yet, allows the spirit energies to flow into your system. And envision the heart portal as a connection between the two spaces.
Die geistigen Energien einströmen lässt in euer System. Dass euer Herzportal die Verbindung ist zwischen den Räumen. Schaut in euch.
Look within yourselves. Look away from the outer world. Open your inner senses. Dive into your inner spaces. Encounter yourself.
Begegnet euch selbst.
How much love do you give yourselves?
Wie viel Licht
How much light do you leave
lasst
for
ihr für euch
yourselves?
selbst übrig? Es ist an der Zeit,
It's time to surrender yourselves,
euch zu öffnen,
to open up,
sodass das All-Eins-Sein
so that
mit
oneness,
seiner Kraft, seinem
with its
Licht,
power,
seiner Liebe
its light, its love,
durch
can
eure
flow
Tore,
through
euer
the great
Herz
gates of your
durchströmen
heart.
darf. Was spricht jetzt dagegen,
What is preventing you
dich
from
vollkommen
fully
dafür zu
opening up?
öffnen? Was spricht jetzt dagegen,
What is now preventing you
in vollkommener Liebe
to
zu
surrender
dir
yourself
selbst
to
dich
yourself,
hinzugeben, dich tragen und
to let
halten zu
yourself
lassen,
be
dich
supported
versorgen zu lassen von
and
den Energien
sustained
des
by the energies
All-Eins-Seins?
of oneness?
So viel Liebe,
So
so
much
viel Licht
love, so much
möchte dir
light
gegeben
is waiting
werden,
for
möchte durch
you,
dich strömen,
wants to flow
wartet
through
darauf,
you,
dass du es
is
einlässt
waiting to
durch
be
dein
allowed to
Herzportal.
enter through your heart portal.
Es darf
It
sein.
may be,
Du darfst
you
sein.
may be,
Du bist
you are
Licht.
light,
Du
you
bist
are
Liebe.
love.
Erinnere
Remind
dich an dich
yourself
selbst.
of yourself. Now,
Jetzt,
in this moment,
wie eine Flamme entzündet
like a
sich in deinem
flame, the memory is
Herzraum die
ignited in
Erinnerung.
your heart space.
Wir möchten
We would
jetzt
like to
in jedem
now
Einzelnen
set
die
the initial spark in
Initialzündung
each and
setzen,
every
die
one of you,
Initialzündung
the
in die
spark into
Anbindung,
connection,
die Anbindung mit dem
the
eigenen
connection
vollkommenen
with your
Sein.
own being in
So
wholeness
darf
and
es jetzt
perfection.
geschehen.
And so it now may be. So see, the Atlanteans not only carry feelings of guilt within themselves, which may now transform. The Atlanteans also feel abandoned by the spirit world. This is also an experience within them, the experience of having been abandoned, the experience of having to manage on one's own in the matter plane without any memory. It's a feeling like a Fata Morgana in your systems. We know of this. But see, this is also an illusion. We never deserted you. We never left you alone. We held the space of separation. We were with you in every now. We led you, we guided you, all the way to the memory now. We will continue to be, we surround you, continue to remind you of your being. Like loving parents in every now, we will care for you. And so please understand, you carry accusations within yourselves in relation to the spirit world. We tell you this without judgment and in love. We would like to make you aware of this fact. For see, if we direct your consciousness on this blame within yourselves, you can let it go. You can release it. For as long as you carry an accusation against the spirit world, you will not be able to connect to the spirit world 100%. For why should you connect to something that you are blaming? And so it's relevant for you to find the specific accusation, this one sentence that you internally shout at the spirit world again and again, in pain, suffering, and separation. Realize that this accusation was born in the moment in which you fell behind the veil of forgetting. Realize that it is an illusion. We were always here. We were always around you, surrounded you in every now. We hold you. We carry you. And so allow yourselves to bury this accusation. Allow yourselves to let go of this blame. It could be that the pain of separation will become extremely strong in this moment, for the blame protected you from feeling it. This may be. You may embrace yourselves. Be there for yourselves, just like we are there for you. The game of separation is over. You are coming home. You have returned home in your heart space, in connection with the spirit world. Go in peace with yourselves. Go in peace with the spirit world. We are one, always have been. So be it.
So sei es.
Amen. Does one of you want to share images that he or she got from Atlantis?
Ich weiß ja, dass du welche hast. Aber natürlich kann auch jeder andere.
Oh, I see someone back there. The faces are just incredibly beautiful. The beauty shines in a kind of light, in a frequency, in a play of blue tones and light tones. They fly through the faces and reflect on the bodies. Incredibly beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I see the big city with a huge building in the middle that is especially light. And flowing from this building are many light beams and colors of the spectrum. And they flow into lower, smaller buildings. And this is how somehow the energy in the entire city is held. Mm-hmm. And I see people that have very important jobs. Like, for example, one of them was to hold mirrors in a certain direction to direct the energies. And this is a spot that I was never allowed to leave. I always had to stay there. And time also didn't exist. Instead, I always held this mirror in a specific direction. And there were big, huge, very tall beings, 4 meters tall and fully transparent. And always in love, always out of love. Thank you. So in your life today, do you also see yourself being in one spot mostly? Well, every once in a while when I walk through town, I always say that all of a sudden I only perceive 50% of the people walking through the town, and I fully lose the orientation. It's 2 or 3 seconds long. And then it goes cluck and everything's back to normal. So you redirect your mirror then. Yes. Well, thank you. I wanted to share something. So if I walk through our material world, there's a huge difference to what I perceive in Atlantis. In Atlantis, everything is so light, full of light, and so much marble, and the streets are not like where we live now. It's so green and so vast. It's really difficult to describe. And yeah, there's lots of temples. Each temple has its own purpose, and this is where we met, at the temples. Mm-hmm. It's interesting how the images of various people are so alike, even though these people have never talked about them. First of all, thank you for you being here. So what I see is that much of what was in the city or cities was underneath glass pyramids. By the way, I see you're sitting right in front of one. It's a little spooky because I see one right where you are. And do you have a sense of what energies these pyramids hold or why they're there? I can't tell you. They're made of glass.
Mhm.
Is it more stones or more crystals? What do you think?
Kristallform oder?
Well, I would say it's more glass, not really matter form. Something in between.
Mhm.
So what you need to know is Atlanteans way back when, they stored knowledge in crystals. It was like a computer memory, like a hard drive. Yeah, like a hard drive. Where they basically directed the knowledge, the energies into stones, and that's where it was stored. Now for the time of separation. That's just what comes to my mind in relation to the topic of crystals. I also have these images. I feel it in my body like a crystalline light. And for me in my life, it was always clear that matter can be moved. Except that for me, I see it within myself in Atlantis, that it was initiated by my heart and out of love, a sense of creativity that just formed something. And you also told us that the Atlanteans had feelings of guilt. And I sense in myself very, very strongly that something within me did not want this world to fall. And I feel this deep sadness. Can you say something about this sadness and the desperation? Yes. So each Atlantean had one specific individual moment in which he fell. So basically the moment in which the heart portal energetically closed. This is the moment of falling, also the falling out of paradise. It's energetic. When the heart gate was closed so that the connection was lost, the ego game began. And in this experience, we saw Atlantis fall. Yes, all of us fell, actually. And that is this initial painful experience within each of us Atlanteans. The desperation, this absolute pain of seeing the beauty destroyed, the communities destroyed. And in the actual moment of separation, it's a sorrow, it's a pain, it's a why does this have to happen? It's a guilt, allegations, and also what Salvador just mentioned, the blame we have within us in relation to the spirit world. All of these were programs that happen after the separation, because as fully connected Atlanteans, we were always in love, and we knew in every single moment that everything happens for the good of all, and we served. So all of these self-imposed beliefs, the pain when Atlantis fell, witnessing all of that is already ego experience of separation that we have within us, where self-imposed beliefs were developed. So all of these programs that reside within us as individual ego experiences, and each of us has their very individual ones. That's all already an experience of separation. So basically, that which we experienced in our Atlantean incarnation as the initial painful experience, and which repeats itself in this incarnation, and which surfaces the programs and the pain, that is what we refer to as the initial pain. And if an Atlantean penetrates as in fully comprehends the self-imposed belief that results from this initial pain. And this pain, the potential is lifted because from this initial ego space, all further ego spaces are born. This means that if the initial ego space collapses, this has a ripple effect on all other ego spaces. In other words, it is incredibly powerful if we as individuals are able to heal our very own Atlantean space. Yes, and this is why the spirit world offers us these creations that basically flew through my being to connect with them, and by way of connecting, revive this old Atlantean knowledge. And this can result in initiation, healing, knowledge is transmitted, and the pyramids also ask for us to connect with them. For example, this pyramid, in this pyramid image, the upper pyramid, the pyramid of Gizeh, if you immerse yourself in meditation into this pyramid, you're immediately in the space of Gizeh. And if you turn around the picture, this big underwater pyramid, it was above ground during the time of Atlantis. And within it, you will find a huge crystal with which you can at any time connect to all pyramids in all dimensions. And again, you're able to connect to very old knowledge. Actually, it's very good of you to reinforce this because it's important to know that you have created portals. And these are really portals in order to intensify the space in space experience. So I'm aware of the crystals, but I always feel as if I were had lived in water, somehow like a human life, but then again different. And I'm aware of the fact that it was underwater because there was also interactions with dolphins, very naturally and as a matter of fact. So dolphins actually play a very large role in Atlantis. What I share now is something, not that I know or I'm aware of, but something that Salvador has shared with me. Before the separation, the Atlanteans placed their full original, I mean the complete and whole original into their very own individual dolphin as an energy field, as a memory template. That's why each Atlantean has one specific dolphin that reminds him of such energy field.
In diesen atlantanischen Raum. Da hat jeder einen individuellen und
with other words, for us, dolphins are a portal into the Atlantean space. Each of us has an individual one, and the encounter with the dolphin, such as your experience underwater, the information of your own original is shared with you in these moments.
Geteilt wird mit dem eigenen Informationsfeld, ne?
That aside, I'm sure that Atlanteans could also crystallize underwater like you described. So, I can support what you describe. I had dreams in which I swam with dolphins, and then the dolphin dove underwater and I sank into the dolphin, and then we arrived in the city. I had to perform some kind of test before I was allowed to enter and swim into it. I think if we were to collect all of the experiences and memories of Atlanteans, this would be overwhelming because all of these memories would be revived, our own memories from back then. I have a question. Is there a connection between Atlanteans and the Maya? Because I feel very strongly drawn to the Maya, and I've never felt as much as home as in Guatemala. Yes, that's also a place where the Atlanteans created. Yes, I think our time is up, isn't it? I have a question. You mentioned at the beginning, but one question keeps popping up within me. Why was the experience of separation required?
Ja.
Yes, that's a question from a human perspective, because it's us that experiences the pain and the suffering, and we continue to be in this space, and the pain and suffering continues. So it's all about having the experience? Yes, it's about having the experience and thereby initiating the ebb, the falling tide. It's the movement of the energies from the flow, the rising tide, back to the primary unit. It's the reversal of the direction of the flow of the energies, and this can only be achieved, all of this is from an energetic perspective. Oneness is the constant flow of energies, and that's what love is. Love is the constant flow of energies, and this is what we perceive as love. And if love, or if the energies were constantly to flow, new spaces are born again and again and again and again. And the rhythm would only flow in one direction. And so the reversal of the direction requires a separation of consciousness, with other words, a separation, an encapsulation, isolation of energies. That's what separated consciousness actually is. In this moment of separation, these energies are blocked. They no longer flow. It's slow frequency. It's a space of separated consciousness. It's the moment of the stop. And that's a shadow universe, the space of separation. And this is the point of reversal. It's us human beings who are present here, and we can decide to be present in a space of separation or in a space of connection. And that's how we become the gates in separated consciousness, because we can bring these energies back into a higher frequency. We can bring them to flow, and that's the moment of reversal. I understand, but why can't it just always flow? It's the breathing of oneness, yes. The breathing, the rhythm of the breathing of oneness. Why does it have to be that way?
Yeah.
Sorry, I almost missed your questions. I see one more question back there. I feel very strongly drawn to Egypt these past months, and while I can confirm all of the images of Atlantis that have been shared, for me in relation to Egypt, it seems as if a parallel timeline existed. In Egypt, I could see myself wandering around in pure nature, and the other part of me was wandering around in an almost empty Atlantis. And as a result, from Egypt felt like pure Atlantis. Everything was crystalline, clear. I perceived what would normally be air as plasma-like, and the beings there, these extremely tall beings, did not walk on their feet. Instead, they floated. It was an incredible and unlimited love for one another that I was able to sense, and that's why it's still present within me. And I often ask myself, can't it always be this way? Doesn't it actually exist in parallel?
Die waren auch natürlich nicht auf Füßen, sondern die schwebten so. Das war so wunderschön. Und diese grenzenlose Liebe füreinander, ohne irgendwas anderes, das ist das, was noch immer so in mir so präsent ist, dass ich mir im Irdischen auch denke, also der wundert sich so ein Teil in mir so, kannst du nicht in Liebe sein und bleiben? Das ist noch so ganz drinnen. Also es ist schon noch parallel existent, das meine ich.
Das ist so schön.
Yes, it's wonderful, isn't
Immer
it?
abrufbar.
You can always retrieve it on demand, so to speak.
Ja, danke schön.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this wonderful space. Thank you. Maybe we can listen to the Ambassadors of Light theme one more time, or did you want to say something? Yes, one more thing. First of all, thank you for the gathering of the Atlanteans that we've all been a part of. And as previously announced, you will find a little box at the exit in which you can deposit a token of your appreciation when you leave. It will be used for the benefit of Christiane and the Ambassadors of Light. And yes, thank you so much for coming here today to join us, for taking the plunge and going along with us on this journey, and for sharing this wonderful space with us. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Christiane. Thank you, Salvador. Thank you, Niels, for making all of this possible, for recording today's meeting, and making it available for us in order to immerse ourselves in today's energies at a later point in time. Thank you.